Hey, good Sunday morning to you. Excited about this passage today that we're looking at in Acts chapter 17. Very familiar passage to many. And so I want to share that with you. It begins in verse 16. It says, "Now, while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was provoked within him when he saw that the city was given over to idols. Therefore he reasoned in the synagogue with the Jews and with the Gentile worshippers, and in marketplace daily with those who happened to be there. Then certain Epicurean and Stoic philosophers encountered him. Some said, 'What does this babbler want to say?' Others said, 'He seems to be a proclaimer of foreign gods, because he preached to them Jesus and the resurrection.' And they took him and brought him to the Paragould, saying, 'May we know what this new doctrine is of which you speak? For you are bringing some strange things to our ears. Therefore we want to know what these things mean.' For all the Athenians and foreigners who were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear something new. Then Paul stood in the midst of the Areopagus and said, 'Men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are very religious. For I was passing through and considering the objects of your worship. I even found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. Therefore the one whom you worship without knowing, him I proclaim to you, God who made the world and everything in it, since he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in the temples made with hands, nor is he worshipped with men's hands as though he needed anything, since he gives to all life, breath, and all things. And he has made from one blood every nation of men dwell on the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope for him and find him, though he is not far from each of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as also some of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Therefore, since we are offspring of God, we ought not to think that the divine nature is like gold or silver or stone, something shaped by art and man's devising. Truly, these times of ignorance God overlooked, but now commands all men everywhere to repent, because he has appointed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by the man whom he has ordained. He has given assurance of this to all by raising him from the dead. And then they heard the resurrection of the dead. Some mocked, while others said, 'We will hear more again of this matter.' So Paul departed from among them. However, some men joined him and believed, among them Dionysius the Areopagite, a woman named Damaris, and others with them." What is so important about this passage is that we look and we understand that we should be provoked when we see people worshiping idols, when we see people straying from God and the truth. I pray today that you might feel that indignation, that righteous indignation. You see people not worshiping the wrong things, rather. And so Paul sees that, and so he starts telling them about Jesus, telling them about the true God, the one true God. And so they want to hear, and so he tells them, and he starts where they are. He says, "I see that you worship and you have an idol to the unknown God. Let me tell you who he is." And he starts from there and tells them about Jesus. Friends, we have to start where people are in order to bring them to Jesus. We can't start from where we think they ought to be or what they ought to know. I'm finding more and more in our society today, in the days we're in, people are not where we think they ought to be. They're in a dark place. They're in a place of idol worship. They're in a place of humanism. And so we have to start there and bring them to where they need to be and tell them about this one true God. We also have to remember that to them, he is an unknown God. I remember what Jesus said in John, "My sheep hear my voice, and they know me, and I know them." Friends, until they know who Jesus is, there is no hope for our friends, our families, those that we encounter. And there's going to be a decision made. It'll be either to accept or reject. Some mocked, and others said, "We'll hear again of this," because they, in all of their wisdom and all of their stuff, the thing that he brought them to was that there's a resurrection of the dead. Understand, the Greeks, the people there in Athens, they thought that there was the spirit world and the physical was bad and there would never be a resurrection. I want to promise you that today there will be a resurrection, that we will be accountable before God. And so live your life in such a way that you know that. When you see others in the midst of their sin, remind them there's a day coming of judgment and tell them how they too can have grace for that day. Pray you have a great day. Look forward to seeing you hopefully in a little while at worship. Come join us at Westview as we worship this morning. Small groups are at 9, worship at 10. And as always, remember at Westview, hey, we're here for you. So you have a great day and God bless.